Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are taking a look at a figure from a new company, CyberX Studio. They've decided that they're going to be making a Rambo based off his appearance in Last Blood. Now, to be honest, I wasn't all that excited for this figure initially based off the preview photos. It didn't look fantastic, but I have been told by people who already have this guy in hand that the final product is definitely superior, and of course he comes with a ton of badass weapons. Now, I got mine from Comic Sanctorum, but do bear in mind, this is a third-party unlicensed item that was made in an unofficial capacity, even though they have plastered the logos all over the box. Now, what we are going to do next is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here, of course, we have the box art for Rambo. Now, they have been very naughty here. They very clearly printed Sylvester Stallone's name, Rambo, and Last Blood right up here on the front of the box. We also have an image of the figure himself wearing the prototype head sculpt. Now, I'm 99.9% sure, and you'll see why in just a second, that CyberX Studio is actually Young Rich Toys. So at the very least, we can expect a decent level of quality from the accessories and hopefully the figure himself. We do of course have all of the various warnings and legal information on the back. Now let's get this guy out here. I've been very curious. Now there is a second Last Blood Rambo coming out from another third-party company, so I do plan to pick that guy up as well when he's eventually released. Right up on top, we of course have Rambo sitting in a foam insert. And yeah, the people who told me this head sculpt was improved over the prototype images were absolutely right. This looks fairly decent. Now we of course do have one tray up on top and another down below with a very signature display base. So what we are going to do now is get all of Rambo's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the bits and pieces that come with Rambo. Now, starting off with the display base first, this right here is the Young Rich Toys display base. I don't think anyone will argue that point. That pretty much sets in stone that Young Rich is the company that made this figure. We do have Rambo right up here on the top, and a beautiful metal etched nameplate with his name. We also have a regular crotch grabber up there as well. Now, being Rambo, you would expect him to come with a bunch of weapons, and he does. Young Rich Toys haven't disappointed here. The first of which is a shotgun. We do have a working action. It's a very unique sculpt, and I really like the way it's painted. There's a gradient effect to the metal, and I'm honestly contemplating displaying my figure with that shotgun. I really like the way it looks. Now, this one is pretty darn cool as well. You once again have a working action. You can, I'm pretty sure, insert some of the shotgun shells in the barrel there, and you'll see that in just a second. We also have a 1911 with a working slide, and we also have a removable magazine with some bullets sculpted in at the top, but unfortunately they aren't painted in the usual brass color. We also get a oversized claymore. I'm pretty sure that's what this is supposed to be, front towards enemy, and for some reason it says it on both sides, so I guess both sides are the front. Either way, this once again is a unique accessory that I don't think I've seen before. We also get a walkie-talkie and a watch. Now you'll notice that there is no screen on the front and no dial on the watch there. That's because you can choose which ones you'd like to apply. You get 2 watch faces and 2 little tiny screens for the radio, plus a bunch of shotgun shells, either for the double-barreled shotgun or the regular one. So I do appreciate that they kept them in a little baggie and you can choose between the screens for both the radio and the watch. You also get a bow plus a few arrows. This bow is done in a very interesting matte black texture. It's something that I don't think I've ever seen before, but it will provide some grip when you're trying to put it into his hands. It also has a working elastic string at the back. It's not that usual twine that Hot Toys uses. This is a proper rubbery elastic string. Now, to go along with the bow, of course, you get a bunch of arrows. But the cool thing here is these are all made of die-cast. They're proper metal arrows. That means they shouldn't break when you do go ahead and pose him with them, where if they were made out of plastic and you put a little bit too much flex on them, they may potentially do just that, whereas these are super nice and sturdy. You do get some regular weapons as well, not just firearms. You get 3 different blades. One big honkin' one that's more of a hunting knife, and then of course one that's more of a throwing knife. So he definitely comes with enough weapons, but for good measure, he also comes with a hammer. That right there is a nice touch. Now, I'm pretty sure you'll want to see the head sculpts, so here they are. This one is definitely my preferred. I can see the Sylvester Stallone likeness there. It looks like how he does now. It's an older Sylvester Stallone, and it's sculpted and painted very nicely. There's a ton of texture in the skin, there's wrinkles there, and the paint applications are very well applied. Honestly, I'm really liking this sculpt. This one, on the other hand, I can still see the likeness, but the expression is slightly goofy. We do see him make this expression in the film. I do like the cuts and scrapes on the face and the messy style to the hair, but the head sculpt itself is just a little bit too flat, versus this one right here, which has a little bit more definition. Do let me know which sculpt you prefer though down in the comments below. Lastly, you get an interchangeable long sleeve shirt. This is kind of the shirt he was wearing when he was in the tunnels towards the end of the film, if I recall correctly, so you will see this on the figure a little bit later on. Plus, you also get this little leg holster for his hunting knife, I do believe. So yes, we will apply that as well. And lastly, we get an array of hands. All really nicely sculpted and painted. These aren't those usual third-party waxy glossy style hands. What we are going to do now though is get Rambo himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, and so far so good. I mean, it does what it says on the tin. It's an old man version of Rambo. As you saw just a second ago in the accessory segment, the head sculpt is actually fairly decent. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than the prototype images, including the one that they're still using on the front of the box. As for the body, it's big, it's bulky, it's broad-shouldered. It definitely works for Rambo here. The outfit, I'm not entirely sold on, but at the very least you have a switch-out option if you'd like to change up the look. And then the accessories that he comes with, I mean, you saw, he comes with a ton of weapons which are all fantastic. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal. Now I know technically we've already seen both head sculpts in the accessory segment, but it's worth taking a look at them once again, this time on the body. I have to say, it's still a pretty impressive sculpt. I can see the likeness there, the paint applications are on point, there's tons of texture in the skin and also in the hair. And the cool thing about this specific head sculpt is you could technically kit bash an old man Rocky if you were doing a Creed display, because of course Young Rich Toys are also making Creed figures. That could be a really great reuse of this sculpt if you are going for the battle damaged angry look for Rambo, which you'll see in just a second. Now moving down to the outfit. This, I think, is a little bit too clean for me personally. I mean, In the last film, Rambo was getting pretty down and dirty and killing in some pretty extreme ways, so I would have liked some dirt, some grime, some blood splatter here and there, but everything looks pretty much pristine and brand new. At the very least, they didn't go too far in the other direction where it was too dirty, so you could simply put some blood splatter on here yourself, but for me, I would have liked it already done out of the box. The material that they've used here is nice and soft and will get out of the way for posing, and there is a real working zipper on the jacket if you wanted to zip it up. You also have a blue denim style shirt underneath, and then of course a white t-shirt. Now the body is fully sculpted and painted as well, but it's not seamless, so you will have some joints when it comes to removing this shirt if that's something you'd like to do. Now, coming down to the pants, they are super simple. They're literally a blue pair of pants. There's a little bit of dirt and grime on the surface, but it's very basic weathering. There's not nearly enough for me personally. Lastly, coming down to the shoes, they are also super clean. There's a little bit of texture on the underside with the sole of the shoe, and unfortunately, they are a fixed sculpted piece. There's no split cut design, so that means you're not going to get any ankle articulation whatsoever, and they do have a habit of falling off on me. Now, if you are curious what the second head sculpt looks like on the body, I am too. Let's take a look. And there you have it. This one is still my least favorite, but technically he does make this expression a fair amount in the film. I did even look up some pictures, and yes, this is a common Sylvester Stallone expression. It's just a little bit too cartoony, potentially in 1/6 scale, and as I said in the accessory segment, it's a little bit too flat. There's not enough definition there. Now, I will be showing you the second outfit option at the conclusion of the video, which is of course the swap out grey long sleeve shirt, so make sure you stick around to the end. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, initially I had no idea who to compare Rambo to. I don't own the 3-0 Rambo, although I am tempted to pick him up, so I thought to hell with it. Let's go Old Man Rambo versus Old Man Terminator. And here you can see they stand roughly the exact same height. The proportions are very similar, although the overly bulky jacket on Rambo definitely isn't doing him any favors. He looks like he's got no neck, he looks like he's got no definition in the shoulders. So when we switch it out to the long sleeve shirt, I reckon that's the look I'll personally be going for in the display, because as I said, this one just looks a little bit too bulky. Overall though, if you wanted to do something like this in the display, yeah, you could totally do it. Just going over articulation on Rambo. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now, starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a fixed rubbery style neck, so you do get a fairly decent range of motion going forwards and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms themselves are super sturdy and on very heavy duty ratchets going up to about there. They will of course swivel forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder, swivel at the bicep, a single bend at the elbow that incorporates a swivel, and of course a regular 1/6 scale style wrist peg. As for the torso, you do have multiple joints, one up the top, then one down below, for a combined crunch going forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The legs themselves are slightly more restricted, but if you move the pants up, you'll get a little bit more range, going forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the thigh, a double bend at the knee that unfortunately only gets you to 90, and of course a ball joint down here for the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Cyber X Rambo figure. Now, going into this, I was relatively hesitant. In fact, when it came time to order it, I felt the same way because the head sculpts didn't really sell me. Having it in hand now though, I can honestly say that the improvements they made to the sculpt make this guy look like a completely different figure. I prefer the regular sculpt versus the angry battle damage one, but even that one in my opinion, isn't horrendous. It was in the promo pics, but now having it in hand, I could honestly say that I am tempted to use it depending on the pose and the accessories I have him displayed with. Speaking of accessories, he comes with a ton, and the metal arrows were a very nice touch, plus of course that gorgeous centerpiece style display base. Overall, it's a pretty good package. I'm impressed, I'm happy, this is going to be my only old man Rambo figure in the display. So yeah, I am glad I picked him up. Now I got mine from Comic Sanctorum. I have included the link down below for your reference purposes only. Do bear in mind this is a third-party, unlicensed, unofficial item. While you are down in the description, why not also check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.